Veronica, I'm speaking in an AA meeting in 5 minutes and I haven't even left the house.
It's when they met for the first time.
Well, I'm speaking over here on the laptop. Hey guys, thanks. I'm Patrick. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Patrick.
I really like where it says this is a disease that centers, it's alcoholism. It's a disease that centers in my mind. It has to be treated. I talk about that a lot and making the distinction between alcoholism and alcohol. I've actually shared this before. I don't know. It's kind of weird that it's called alcoholism because it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with alcohol. It has to do with how I think. And it doesn't really matter what I'm using to distract myself from my thoughts. I do that obsessively. Even today with 15 years of sobriety, I start chasing things alcoholically, and I just can't shake this idea that something is gonna fix me. Some outside thing is gonna just make me feel better. I can't. And the crazy part about that is those outside things actually do make me feel better temporarily, in the same way that drugs and alcohol made me feel better temporarily. My current obsession is actually, you know what? For my whole sobriety, it's been success, validation, fame, validation like on a massive scale. I chose the music industry, and now I'm a video production guy, and now I'm like trying to be this influencer guy, and it's just like it's all, it doesn't really matter what I'm doing or how much success I'm getting. I mean, I'll take that back. I think it does matter because it's nice for me to have a purpose, and it's okay for me to work hard towards things. But I just need to remember that nothing comes before this, and nothing comes before God. And the hardest thing for me is like constantly going to God. So it's there's this, make a conscious contact with God. Me and my sponsors say we need constant contact with God. And yesterday, I don't know that I went to God one time. It's crazy. I just, I get caught up in the rat race, But then I remember, and I have this, this brand called Learning to Lose. And, like for me, like losing, understanding that like loss and pain and all those things that I see as something that our society and our world sees as something negative, like really aren't, like if I don't, like all, like the thing that reminds me to go to God, the thing that reminds me that none of this stuff matters is the fact that it was when I lost these things in the past, that was when I had the most freedom. There's this, I'm just kind of obsessed with this concept of losing as almost as like a good thing, and pain almost being like a good thing, and just almost even just disregarding like labels like good and bad and loss and win, and it's just like all part of this like journey that I'm on. And it's like I just kind of want to be like water, and water just kind of like, so when I lost this success that I had in this music thing, I was the most free. Well, when I was losing it, I became so free. Like there's this lyric, this Janis Joplin lyric that says, "Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose." And I love that so much, and I think it really applies to this this way of life and these principles of like humility and surrender I was able to really surrender and stop being so afraid of losing stuff, because it was like, oh, well, that's not working. God, my plans, my grandiose plans of being what I thought I wanted to be, God has a different path for me, and he forced me to see that. He forced me to be in that situation, and I just kind of like let go, and I kind of just like, took a breath and just and that's kind of the place where I want to be at, like, every day. I'm sort of doing this dance like every day with exerting my trying to like get things and working, because the problem is we have to work, and we don't have to, but I am like super passionate, super driven, super motivated, inspired, and I think that a lot of my inspiration comes from this God, this divine power, and that's when it's coming from that power and not the power of self. That's when I'm like, it's the best, right? But but as soon as I start getting things from that inspiration, the ego and my alcoholism kicks in, and I'm like, oh, I need more, and it's the same thing I did with drugs and alcohol. And then I need to like go step back and remember, oh, actually, you know what? You don't need more. You can strive for more with God and detach yourself from the results. Sorry, I just kind of like, it's like a stream of conscious, I feel like, when I share, because I don't really like know what I'm going to talk about, but I love that it said in this meeting that we try to like channel God or make a connection with God. Because I think that is everything. Like that's everything, So I try to just, say what's coming, what God would have me say. And a lot of times that just comes from like, okay, step one, right? So just like going through the steps, right? So step one, I admitted I'm powerless over drugs and alcohol. Okay, that's obvious. And I think that's also dash in my life had become unmanageable. So that also applies to me with my thinking and any other thing that can make me feel good or different or better. I'm powerless over those things. I really am. It's really crazy. Coffee, Instagram, women, video games. What do you got? Like, whatever you got, I'm gonna like use it the way I use drugs and alcohol, right? Because my thought life is unmanageable by me. And that's the second part of the first step. Like I just can't think. And if I don't go to God, like right away in the morning, if I don't read, daily reflections is one thing I read. And if I don't get on my knees and put my head on the ground and humble myself before my higher power, before just like, I just want to get humble, because I'm so, if I don't do that, I can, my thought life will really be unmanageable. But if I do that and I'm in this surrendered place, like I feel like I'm not good all day. I need to like keep going back. I just feel like the more time I get and the more righteous my thoughts become, and the more I do this, like the more I need to do it, because the pain from not doing it increases, and the amount of there's something about this, I think, in the Sermon on the Mount about how once we start going down this path the path like either like narrows or I guess what I'm saying is the consequences. I really don't have a choice anymore. Like once I start kind of going off track, it's just like I feel it like right away. And I guess that's a result of my new character becoming stronger. And I will say that this new character is allowing me to do things that would baffle me before. What is that? I'm able to handle situations that used to baffle me. Like when I get angry, I'm not finding myself like yelling anymore. I'm like, I talk like this, and I'm like, dude, I'm like really wanting to resolve the issue. I'm not like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not like freaking out. And like, I used to yell and I was so crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm psycho, you know? Like, I'm sure you can tell. I mean, could you imagine like what I was like using? And could you imagine? I mean, I have like a mohawk. I have tattoos. I'm crazy. I have rage. I have so much rage inside of me, you know, from my parents abandoning me and just whatever the childhood trauma stuff was. But I don't need to be that person today. I'm like not that person. It's crazy. It's amazing. I'm so grateful. And it's so much easier when I'm able to talk to people, you know, with love. And okay, so step 2, I don't really know what God is. I really don't. Like, I really don't know anything, honestly. And I love when people say they don't know, because I think that's one of the smartest things you can say. I love that about my sponsor. Hey man, I'm tripping. I got a problem. He's like, I don't really know. And I'm like, yes, like that's why I love you, because we don't really know. I don't know. So I don't know what God is. I just have to be open, right? I just want to have an open mind about everything I thought I knew, about everything I think I'm going to be. I just want to have an open mind. So God, I'm just going to pray to you, even though I don't know what you are. I'm just going to, you know, I'm just going to seek something higher than myself. So can you just help me have an open mind and help me have an experience with you? And, you know, please, can you try to remove this fear, this overwhelming, paralyzing fear? What am I so afraid of? Like, it's crazy. Everything's fine. Everything's always been fine. Everything's gonna be fine. But I'm just like terrified of like losing people. I'm terrified of losing money. I'm terrified of this job and this person. What are they judging me and all this stuff? And it's just like, God, can you just help remove this fear so I can focus on you and better do your will? And it's so cool to like not care what happens with it. Like, obviously I like want to like win or whatever, but like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Because it just doesn't really matter, you know? And I'm so grateful that I've lost so many times because I learned that it's cool. It's all good. Like, you know, the door closed and then this way cooler door opened. You know, like what I do today is it makes me so much happier than what I thought I wanted to do 10 years ago. I just don't know. I don't have the answers, you know. And I think that sometimes I think I have the answer, and it's coming from a place of ego and self. And I'm like, oh, I want to be like, you know, I want to be a famous producer, you know. And self and ego, just like I'm an alcohol. If I want something, I go for it alcoholically, and I got this record deal, and I start touring, and I built this fan base. I'm like signing autographs, getting validated, you know. But I'm like, I just feel like I'm not there yet. I'll get there when we have the number 1 iTunes single or whatever. I'll get, and I never got there, you know. I never got there. I was in Europe on tour playing opening for this really big artist. And I was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, like just like being mean to everyone, and are we gonna be able to hang our banner, and where's our merch gonna go, blah 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 blah, just crazy, seeking a replacement for drugs and alcohol, or a replacement for God, because I wasn't, and this was all in sobriety, by the way. So the first like 5 to 6 years of my sobriety was like fully driven by self and ego, and I got stuff. But when I started losing that stuff, I got really miserable. And even when I was like in it, like doing those things, I was like stoked, but like not really. Like I never was in the moment. I never appreciated what I was experiencing. I never got to be present, because God, when I'm with God, I'm like in the moment. I'm like, ooh, like cool. Look at this. Like there's 8 non-video participants, and look at all these cool people. Look at these 2 beautiful girls here, and look at all these people in some of these people in England, and we're all sober, and I'm in this moment like right now with you guys. I'm not like thinking about the past or the future or what I want to get or what, that's where I want to be, and that's where I never was there. I just wasn't there. I was just in so much fear, And then I lost it, and I gave up, and I surrendered. And I guess what you could say is I hit a bottom in sobriety. So I hit a bottom in sobriety. I think you can raise your bottom when you're out there. You can hit bottom. I think I hit bottoms all the time. And it's cool. I'm learning to lose. Every day, because my ego rebuilds itself, and then I'm like, ooh. Yeah, like I do want. So it's just a dance, That's why I need to do this, right? Because my ego comes back, and then I need to kill it again, and then I need to go to God, and then it comes back, and it's just like. But I will say that I think the new character is, I don't know, for anyone who's either new or, I don't know, for a long time I was like, yo, like, is this new character ever gonna be stronger than the old character? Like what am I ever going to be like, okay, like, is the new character ever just going to like, be like, yo, old character, we're done with you. And I will say that I think my new character is pretty strong, but I don't really see that old character ever dying or going away. And the distractions of life and like society and like my dysfunctional parents and triggers. And I will say that therapy has helped me a lot. I've been going to therapy for like 20 years. And I will say that without that, like I wouldn't have the understanding that I have of my triggers. And the fact that like, when I'm angry at you for not agreeing with me, I'm not really angry at you. I'm angry at my dad, and you're just like triggering that, right? So, and then when I can see, and I think that's also part of what the steps help us do. The steps help us see the resentment and then see what our part is. But I think a lot of times, I don't know, man, like just for me, it always stems back to my dad. And I didn't really have much of a part in a lot of that. So I personally would say that like therapy is big. And I think for men, it's their dad. And I think for a lot of women, it's their mom. And I just think that it's important for me to see that stuff. Sorry for going like psychology, like therapy stuff, but like, yo, that's my thing. That's like my thing. That's really, with 15 years of sobriety, like that's what I need today. Like I need God, and I need to have God with me as much as possible, but I also need to understand that like where these traumas are coming from, and I need to like mourn that loss of like the father I never had, and I need to stop trying to like create that father in everyone else. Like, yo, dude, like, you see what I'm doing? Like, look how cool this is, bro. Like, because my dad never saw what I did. He never saw anything. He never understood. He never, oh man, that's really cool, Pat. Like, wow, this song, like you really put your heart into this one. No, he just was like, oh, how much money you making? Or, and that's all good because he just doesn't know how to be that person. But I just need to see that and recognize that, like, oh, okay, cool. He's doing the best he can. He did the best he could. And I need to stop being angry at other people for not feeling that thing with him. This is kind of probably like the deepest I've gone as far as like that stuff goes. So let me just kind of take it back to 3, which is like, okay, once I start seeking this power, even though I don't really know what it is, I don't know, things start happening, right? And I start kind of rightly relating myself to that power on a daily basis, which means like, oh, cool, like I did the right thing, or I felt the inspiration to like, to do that thing that was hard, my life started to get better. That's God. So is that 5 or? So yeah,
No,
so that's
20.
Oh, so what are we? How many more? Should we 5 more minutes, or we're done?
Wrap up.
Okay, cool.
In the next 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay, cool. So God. So now I have this God. I understand this God, and I just need to give my will over to my God. I'm gonna give my will over to the God, over to God every day. That's 3. And what I learned in prime time is we talk about 1, 2, and 3, and alcoholism, ego, and self. And I hope that wasn't like too crazy, but that's just how my alcoholic ADD mind channels my power, which I'm so incredibly grateful for this format and AA. And oh my God, I wouldn't trade my alcoholism for anything in the world. I'm so grateful to be an alcoholic because I have this as a solution. And thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Patrick.
Right on.
And I'd like to invite Luke to share with us. Lukey?
Hi, my name's Luke. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Luke.
Patrick, thanks so much for your share, man. It made a lot of sense to me. And, what you said at the beginning, I feel like that we both have fallen into the exact same trappings in a way of what we thought was going to fix us. And, when you said about, validation and thinking that, a certain type of fame was going to do the trick. And I really liked what you said about, it's like we constantly have to separate ourselves from the lie that something external is going to work. And what you said about some of them do work for about 5 minutes, but that's the lie that I have to turn away from every day. Do you know what I mean? And I loved what you said about, what was it? It's just gone out of my mind. Something about, I hate it when this happens because it was so poignant for me. Shit, I hate when this happens, and I'm going to remember as soon as I stop sharing. But I just felt like I identified with you so much. And, I've also kind of never really been present really to enjoy the things that I thought were gonna solve, what's wrong with me. And God, I need to start making notes during shares, man, because you said so much good stuff. But I think you're right. I'm meant to say whatever God would have me say. Do you know what I mean? That's only me trying to control, I think, people's perception of me and wanting to share back perfectly and on every point that you made. And, but I've had a really profound experience with step 4 and 5, just at the moment that, 4 gave me a lot of clarity. And like what you said, wasn't one of the things I planned on sharing back, but how step 4 allows me to kind of sort of take ownership of, because it was always their fault. And now I can see when my sort of pride is being affected and when, various defects are being triggered, that I can see that it's not really what they're doing. It's got kind of nothing to do with them. It's my reaction, which is all kind of my stuff. You saying, you know, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at my dad, and I really felt that. And step 5 is where I found some peace. Like I only did this last week, and I'm genuinely experiencing some peace, which is really, really odd. Because, and also what you said about, you know, I've got that ADD alcoholic stuff, and when I'm focused on something, I've also got a lot of drive and a lot of motivation. But I'm expecting the results of that to fix me. And it's just a tricky illness, this. You know, I've got it 24/7 all
Yeah,
day.
it is.
Very, very cunning and baffling. And I'm using these external things. So right now I'm like working on a music project that I'm convinced when it's finished, I'm gonna be good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when it's finished, you know, then it's gonna be getting it released. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm gonna feel, and I've had kind of success here and there, and none of it's ever been enough. Do you know what I mean? Nothing's ever been enough. There was another thing I really want to share back. It's really bugging me, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm really glad that I'm here and I heard you. Yeah, exactly. Sounds good. I'd like to get your number at some point and we can catch up, man.
Yeah.
Drop it to my yeah. If we've got the private message thing here, then drop me your number, man. I'd love to talk some more. All right, I'm out. Peace.
Thanks, Lucky. Georgie, would you like to share with us?
Yes, hi, I'm Georgie. I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Patrick. Thank you so much for that. That was incredible. I just really wanted to share back about how you weren't able to enjoy the success that you had because you weren't with God. It was through ego and all of that stuff. And it's just so true. Like, because I want to do things to show people that I deserve to live, and I want to be validated, and this is how I earn my place on this planet, by, you know, looking a certain way or saying a certain thing or whatever. And you know, I make art, and I if I post one of my paintings and not enough people like it, you know, the world is ending and I might as well just kill myself and it's terrible and all this.